Middle East conflict. We're talking this morning. Is it the time to get into the market or exit the
Oof.
market? Fear versus
Mm.
reality of what we're seeing on the ground. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Oof. Would you buy now, Billy? Would you buy now? That's the question.
Yeah, we get this a lot in listing appointments at open homes. Just people even calling in generally, just looking for a bit of advice. I think this is probably one of the three top questions I'm being asked at the moment. So let's talk about it this morning.
Well, particularly, I think with buyers may not bring that topic to us, but certainly sellers do. It's probably the first question I get asked. You're right. They're
Yeah.
going, "Well, we're not really sure. Should we wait? How's it looking?" What's the word on the street, Billy?
Well, I've got sort of four key areas to break it down into this morning. We're going to talk about what's happened to the market psychology of things. It's a bit of fear versus reality, and people just don't know where they sit in that. Then we're going to talk about interest rates and inflation pressures, what's happening overseas, and then bring it back down to local market strength, and then give you a sell or hold decision. So, number one, market psychology. I think this is the biggest one because it's playing with people's sentiment and they just don't know whether they should be scared or whether they should trust in property because it's always been good to them. I think this is the biggest one, particularly for owners that haven't moved in a long time, 20, 30 years in one household.
They don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. And there's so much, the headlines drive fear and hesitation. There's so much white noise. So you just got to be really careful of where you're getting your information from.
I think I looked at something the other yesterday, which was the top 30 performing European real estate economies in the last 12 months, and that was really interesting because I thought Europe's affected, directly affected. How are they affected? And I felt that even the story that told when you looked at Europe was it was almost like the countries that offered stability offered good capital growth in the last 12 months. I think Portugal was one of the top ones up there. So, so these countries that have sort of had that neutrality, people in uncertain times seek certainty. I think Australia is one of those countries.
I do agree. But what I'm noticing is that buyers are more cautious and they often like pause before they act. So I actually noticed this weekend that's just passed was a lot busier than the weekend before. I think with Easter, people are taking a bit of time off, but I think people pause before they act and they have a bit of a sheep-like mentality where they follow the herd. So it just takes, I think it takes a little bit of time to build that momentum again. So that's the fear versus reality side of things. But interest rates and inflation pressure, that's another big one because costs are going up and that's going to push building prices as well.
Yeah, and then obviously when inflation goes off, interest rates go. It is interesting. Every time it's been an environment where the market's been interest rates going up, that's been a market where capital growth has also gone up. So it's the strangest thing. You'd think interest rates go up, property prices go down. But when you look at the trends, on most of the trends over the last 30, 40 years, most of them, when interest rates go up, property values go up. Strange.
And my favorite saying, supply is the enemy of capital growth, where they cut supply off and they just cannot build new properties. They cannot afford to keep selling at price points they were 12 months ago off the plan. I think that in an unfortunate way will support prices and keep keep property values at a high entry level because it's not getting any cheaper for them to construct and build to introduce
Yes,
supply.
I've seen a couple of emails going around that have been sent to tradies from people that are supplying materials to them. And the cost of materials is certainly going up all the way around. I saw as much as 30% lately. I
Yeah,
can't remember. I think that was Reese Plumbing or something that was sent around
correct.
to all the
Yeah.
tradies. So when I see stuff like that, again, you're right. It makes it harder to build the property and to deliver housing in the marketplace. Again, that insulates it. Lisa. Lisa wants to come in as well.
We've got a
No,
special
no.
guest.
Hi, Lisa. Hi.
Good morning.
What do you think
Special
about it?
guest.
I'm actually concerned about Mark's hand, Billy.
I'm planking.
He's he's holding the phone, and I'm just genuinely concerned. I asked him if he'd like me to hold the phone for
Really
him.
considerate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
really considerate.
Good workout.
Thanks. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, please?
So I'm actually hearing a lot more from vendors than I am from buyers about their concerns with the war in the Middle East and what sort of impact that could have on their property. But
Yeah.
I like to deal with the facts, and the facts are this: that we've had a significant amount of sales in the last week. So and I often say, Billy, when you go onto realestate.com and Domain, and you see no properties being sold at all, I think then we have cause for concern. But that is not the case. And it comes back to the basic fundamentals, and that is when a vendor is realistic about what they're wanting for their property, properties sell. I don't think we're going to see any record-breaking prices, but there's definitely buyers out there and transactions being done.
You know what I think? You got to look at it like a lift. So say it's a 20-story building and that's property price growth, and the growth. So if you're on level 1, it's not much growth, and you've sort of peaked out at level 20. A lot of people, if they've seen the peak out at level 20 and they see it go to level 19, they freak. And I think that's a bad thing. I think if you're up from level 1 and you're on level 16, 17, 18, and even 19, you've done really well. Even if you were at 20 and it's pulled back a touch, I think it's a really, really good marketplace. So even if there is a slight correction, which we haven't seen in the marketplace, I think that you're still in a really good marketplace. It's up a long way away from where it was 5 years ago.
I like that. Like just what Mark's refreshing. Hopefully he'll come back in just a moment. Yes, absolutely. You've got to work out where you are in your own cycle. I mean, if you're maybe a downsizer, what I am noticing with more property on the market, it makes it easier to coordinate and move, less buying pressure. So there's certainly pros and cons to everyone. Mark, I was just saying, you got to compare where you are in your own cycle. If you're a downsizer, there might be a bit more stock on the market and easier to coordinate and move. First home buyers, easier to get in.
Hey guys, can I just remind everyone of something as well? When COVID hit, everyone was saying doom and gloom. I'm sure everyone remembers those times, and everyone was going, and I could pull up newspaper articles that were saying the property market's going to crash.
50%.
Down it goes, and everyone thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be a wonderful time to buy property. And everyone thought the property market was going to absolutely collapse. And then I remember we sat in our sales meeting, Mark, and you went round table and you were saying, what do you think's going to happen? And I remember distinctly saying, it's going up minimum 20%. And people looked at me like I was crazy. And what happened? I think we went up minimum 20%, but the property market certainly didn't crash. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Look, I've got my own opinions on how long or short-lived this war could potentially be. I've seen some quite compelling stuff today. I think Trump is looking like he's going to try and block that straight if it hasn't happened already. Haven't had time to tune into the news this morning. But, it's the uncertainty that
Unblock it.
He's trying to block it, apparently. But it's the uncertainty, I think, that, makes people extremely nervous. But we deal with facts. We're the real estate agents on the ground, on the Northern Beaches. We're the ones that are seeing actually minute by minute what is happening. And sometimes that data can be slow. And can I just add, the news, guys, when it reports, often it's reporting Sydney-wide. There are many micro markets, and the Northern Beaches is one of them. If you want to know what's going on with the property market, ask the local real estate agent.
If it bleeds, it reads.
If it bleeds, it reads, yes.
And how can you not be like your mind be bent and wrapped around all what's in the news at the moment? It's absolutely nuts. So I think at the moment it's hard not to get so vested in what's happening and even almost concerned. But I think when you look at the cold hard reality, it's like the weather. You can talk about the weather every 5 minutes for the whole day, or you can just not even care and just get on with it.
And also, guys, where do people turn in times of uncertainty?
Certainty.
They turn to certainty and stability, and that's a roof over your head. So, and not only that, but the stock market's so volatile. So what are we seeing, Billy? We're seeing people moving their money out of something that's so volatile, which is the stock market, into something that is extremely stable. And it's always been bricks and mortar. It always has.
Yep.
So, do we think property is going to be plummeting? Absolutely not. Are we about to see a correction? It's very likely that we will. And, when vendors are realistic about what they're looking for, properties are selling. That's the bottom line.
When did you buy your place? You bought a place through COVID, didn't you?
Yep. Indeed. Yep. Hasn't slowed me down. But I think it's important just to look at everyone's personal circumstance and work out what is actually best for you, right now, and try
Good
and take that out.
advice.
Try and take that out of Middle East conflict, or try and take that away from interest rates. Work out what is actually best for you, because there's always going to be something hot. It'll be
Agreed.
a hot market with no stock, or it'll be a slow market with too much stock, but you can't get sold. That's what the news will report. So
Supply versus demand. Supply versus demand. And then the rental situation, well, that's a whole different conversation for another day. We might even address that tomorrow, Billy. But what we're seeing with the rental market is also quite compelling. I think we're going to see a massive, massive boom. I'm sorry for the tenants that are watching, but I think we're going to see a massive boom in those rents. I truly, truly do.
yeah, let's bring it on tomorrow. If you want to work out what's happening with the market, let's talk rentals, because I saw a line of probably 30 people queuing up for a 2-bedroom apartment in Freshwater on the weekend.
Wow.
I thought I was witnessing someone like a celebrity walking past, but no, they were just there for the open home.
Wow.
And there's two. Well, there was a celebrity walking past, Billy. You were there.
And it wasn't me. They weren't there for
You were
me.
there. Well, we might have that conversation tomorrow. What we're seeing with the rental market, because there's two sides to that equation. There's the landlords and then there's the tenants. But let's talk about that tomorrow. All right, I think that's a wrap, guys.
I think that's a wrap.
That's
Billy, do you want to say anything? I think, Lisa, you've pretty much got a lot in today. Is there anything you want to say at all?
No, thank you for the special guest appearance, and I wish you a safe drive home from Coffs Harbour.
Stranded. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Edgin. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye, bye.